What is going on, Colts Nation? He is Jamal Lawrence, and I'm Eric Smith, your co-host of the Colts Cast. Hey,
Yo.
Jamal, I gotta show you something. Like these
Oh,
pants?
oh,
Shorts. They're shorts.
oh,
They're shorts. They're shorts.
shorts, Colts geared out.
Yeah,
Things is clean, dog. I need some of them.
yeah. They are some nice shorts. I really like them. Hey, everybody, look, Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr., son of Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison Sr. We all know him. We're all Colts fans here. He's officially declared for the NFL draft. I think a few days ago he did that. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts throughout this video. Colts Nation, this is the best way to support us. And, just going to let y'all know it is completely free. Hey, look, Marvin Harrison Jr., we're talking about it. We talked about him probably about, 6 months ago, Jamal? So the Colts need to do everything they can to get this
Yep.
man. Well, I didn't think, well, I think at that point, I did not think the Colts were going to win, almost 10 games. But anyway, he's arguably one of the best wide receiver prospects in this century. I won't say the best. I'm not gonna. Calvin Johnson's probably the best. But like he's up there with the likes of Jamar Chase, Julio Jones, AJ Green, like guys like them, like
Mm-hmm.
where the Bears are going to seriously consider taking him at one, especially if they don't get a really good offer, and especially if they're going to keep Justin Fields. So there's been a lot of talk about him lately. So we're going to talk about him. So it begs the question, should the Colts trade up in this year's draft to acquire Marvin Harrison Jr.? Jamal, where are we beginning at?
I'm gonna just begin with saying I'm gonna let you talk here in a second, but the powers that be, some of the Colts fans, Colts players, and other Colts media have jumped on this hype train. Eric, like you mentioned, we talked about this a couple months ago, earlier during the season. There was a lot of flack from it. Why are we worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, et cetera, et cetera? Well, the time is now. Colts sit at the number 15 spot, and they got some decisions to make. And when you start to we hear people like Eric and myself talk about it, you may get a little excited. When you hear a few Colts media talk about it, you may get a little more excited. When you hear somebody like Zaire Franklin say, "Ayo, anything that's not bolted down in the city, get it out of here so we can get my man in the building," everybody gets excited. So, I'm not saying that's my decision. We're going to talk about our decisions here in a little bit of whether the Colts should or should not. But, it's just fun to see now that everyone's kind of getting on board with this. Even the locker room, a few people in the locker room, So it's funny. It's fun to hear. It's exciting times. Eric, talk your talk. Let us know how you feel about them.
Wouldn't it be a grand script, a
Oh.
grand NFL script if Marvin Harrison Jr. got to play on the same team that Marvin Harrison Sr. became a Hall of Famer on? I mean, like sign me up. But should the Colts actually trade up for him? I'm gonna say maybe, because I think there's arguments on both sides. Like if just imagine if they did that shit on draft night. Like I don't think I would be mad. Like I wouldn't be mad. I'd be shocked. My jaw would be dropping to the floor. I can't see it happening with Chris Ballard at the helm. I just don't think he would consider as a GM, because name me one time Chris Ballard has actually traded up in the first round for anyone or for any position while being the Indianapolis Colts GM. Can't. Zero. Value Ballard. Look. Now he's done it in later rounds, of course, but never in the first round. So I don't think it's starting this year for Value Ballard, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. I would absolutely love to see Marvin Harrison Jr. in a Colts uniform. I would be ecstatic. I was hammering the table for him earlier this year. We have a whole episode about him, like we said, and I'm sure every Colts fan on the planet, I mean, regardless of what we mortgage for the future, we would love to see him in a Colts uniform. I think the nostalgia's there. It'd be a great homecoming. But how much would it cost us? I mean, that's the big question here. Even if we were truly considering it, like, where does Marvin, like I've seen Marvin Harrison Jr. going number 1. So would we have to trade up to the number 1 pick, number 5 pick, number 3 pick? First of all, you're gonna have suitors to trade up for a quarterback, just like because this draft's got some great quarterbacks in it. You're gonna have some suitors lining up to trade up for a quarterback. Now that means we're battling with those other teams for that pick, because while we might use it on a wide receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., they're going to use it on a quarterback potentially. So they're already probably slamming a first round pick 2025, 2026. Or we would have to give up like a high quality player. Like I'm talking, someone young, got potential, like a Quiddy Pay potentially.
See ya.
Like, would you be willing to give up Quiddy
Yes,
Pay? Would you be willing to give up? I mean, I'm trying to think like what it would actually take.
I'll give up Quiddy Pay.
To give up Big Q, like stuff like that. I don't know what other teams would be looking for
Mm-hmm.
besides draft picks. Michael Pittman Jr. You never know, but you're not throw some day 2 or day 3 picks in there for one wide receiver prospect. It might not be worth it in the end. That's kind of the argument. But wide receivers, they can be found in any round. Like we talk about Devontae Adams in the 2nd, Cooper Kupp in the 3rd, Tyreek Hill in the 5th, AJ Brown 2nd round pick, Stephon Diggs 5th round pick. We could keep going. Like there's diamonds in the rough. Value can be found anywhere. That's why I don't like anytime there's a trade that ever happens with like a 5th or 4th round pick, you always hear someone say, "Oh, that's a bag of chips." Not really, because you can find good players with that bag of chips you're talking about. But then again, here's the other side to it. You look at the 1st round and you look at the receivers that's come out of the 1st round, like in history. Like I'm just gonna list some, no order: Calvin Johnson, Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jerry Rice, Larry Fitzgerald, Randy Moss. Now, the range of how good their careers was kind of ranging at, from very low to, because I put CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk. That's just like this generation's receiving class. Like they could end up being great, but then you have people like Larry Fitzgerald had a long, long career and he was exceptional. Jerry Rice, I mean, when you add a guy like that, any of those calibers to this Indianapolis Colts team, without a doubt, without a question, this team gets better, right?
110%, 110,000%. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that the team automatically feels the impact of that. And kind of going back to what you're talking about earlier with this nostalgia. Of course, everybody wants nostalgia. We've all seen the picture of MHJ sitting on the bench with Marvin Harrison, during the game, or I should say during. I'm sure it was pregame or postgame, but in uniform. So that's cool. But as you talked about, man, this is arguably the best player in the draft. The best player in the draft. Although we know, because the way quarterbacks work right now, they are taking precedent for them, and there are teams who need quarterbacks more than they need the wide receiver. So he will have the opportunity to fall down. So going back to what you were talking about a little earlier, Eric, when you were saying how we will be in competition with some other teams who really want this quarterback, I could see it that way, or I could also see it being a situation where teams could maybe even try to screw us by making us give up a king's ransom, because they know that we're only trading down for one reason, or trading up for one reason. We don't need a quarterback, so we will only be moving to get Marvin Harrison Jr. And teams would know that. So they're gonna be aggressive with what they want. And of course, that's where you have to come into the fact that, like you mentioned earlier, we have Value Ballard. Is Value Ballard going to make that happen? Doubt it. I think that Shane Steichen could have a huge, huge, huge impact on him, way bigger than Frank Reich obviously ever would have had on Chris Ballard when it comes to making a impulse decision on a player that for sure brings a crazy upside to the team. But I also just think that Value Ballard will always pull the, we can find a diamond in the rough card, like you mentioned. And I'm not knocking that at all. But this is a generational talent. Let's be clear. And I think everyone knows that. We've seen what's happened week over week for the past couple of years at Ohio State with Marvin Harrison Jr. We know what he brings to the table. He is going to be a top player no matter what team he goes to. He's going to excel, and he's going to elevate all the players around him. He's going to elevate the quarterback around him, as long as they can get him the ball. So this is a situation where I think that the Colts should do it, but do I think the Colts are going to do it? No, the Colts aren't going to do it. I am mixed on it, kind of how you mentioned earlier, because I think about capital and what it does for us in the long run, but I also think about the fact that the Colts are now in a position where we could get a missing link to this offense that would now set us up with a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2, and a wide receiver 3 for years to come with the rookie quarterback. with the head coach who has a great football mind, with a great running back, and like that's just the icing on the cake for the offensive side, in my humble opinion. But like Eric said earlier, drop your comments below. Let us know how you feel about it, because it can go either way. But I also just think about the downside to it, of course, as well. If the Colts were to do something like this, then we look at, what does this mean for the future of us? Because we're not going to have a first round draft pick, I'm sure, for at least 2 years, maybe a year, depending on if we have to, or we may have to lose a big time player. Do we want to lose a Quentin Nelson? Do we want to lose a Kwity Paye? I've already said that I'm okay with losing a Kwity Paye. And it is what it is with that. But I would be indifferent about losing Quentin Nelson, because I know how much of a piece of the offensive side of the ball he is. So I think that it's definitely a day by day thing. I think that the Colts have a lot of decision making to do, but if I'm just being completely transparent, I really think that it's a lost cause as far as it goes in the Ballard era. Now, if for whatever reason he was to fall out of the top five, all of a sudden fall top five, maybe Ballard would be a little more aggressive. Maybe we could entertain it, but I just don't see it happening, especially when there are going to be some other really good wide receivers. I'm not going to say really great, but there are going to be some other really good wide receivers who are going to be lined up there down the line. So I could see Ballard, if he were to even entertain a offensive player in the first round, maybe wait and just sit back and see about the Keon Colemans and those other guys that are back there.
Yeah, like what is the difference between Malik Neighbors, who's
Right.
arguably wide receiver 2 of this draft, and Marvin Harrison Jr.? What is the talent gap? What's the skill gap? What would you be losing? I think a lot of people would argue probably not too much, because Malik Neighbors is amazing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that Marvin Harrison Jr. is that freak of nature. That's something that usually doesn't come around in that position, but every once in a while. But let's say we keep our pick, number 15. Let's say we grab a cornerback in the first round, like a Nate Wiggins, like a Kool-Aid McKinstry, like whoever's available. And then we turn around and take a wide receiver in the second round, like a Xavier Legette, like a Mecca Egbuka. That there's still great wide receivers on the table. So does that sound better than giving up capital to acquire Marvin Harrison Jr.? Or does that cornerback wide receiver combo, is that better than this godlike addition? I mean, that would be, depending on the draft capital given up, because I don't even, I'll be honest, I don't even think Ballard's considering this. They're thinking about what they can do to make this team better with the pick they have. I don't even think they're considering it. But then again, there's just always something in the back of my mind, like a little spidey sense that's tingling, like it could happen. It could happen. And I just see him, Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think he makes it out the top 5. It really depends on what the Bears do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they going to keep Justin Fields? Do they want to take a chance on Caleb Williams or Drake May? Like Drake May could, you never know. And then you got another team, that second pick. I believe it belongs to the Arizona Cardinals, or no, it's the Washington Commanders. Commanders ready to move on, take a Drake May or Caleb Williams right there. So then, like, you're looking at number 3, the Patriots come up. They kind of need a quarterback. So are they going to take a wide receiver? Then the Cardinals come up at 4. Do they need Marvin Harrison Jr. or they need help on like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know, like, adding Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Indianapolis Colts would energize Colts Nation just in general. I think this pick would, I mean, people would be ordering his jersey.
He sold out in no time.
5 seconds after the after the draft selection. I just think, I don't know, the hype around it would be amazing. Now the value added, I'm not sure, because I don't know how much it would actually take. We can sit here and make conjectures and theoretical situations on what it would actually take. But until I see the cold hard evidence that this is what it takes to get Marvin Harrison Jr. at this pick, I don't know if we can make that decision.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, I would do anything in the world to have him. If I were in the front office, I'd say, listen,
4 first round picks.
Let's do it, man. Hey,
All right,
listen.
see, yeah, see, man, what you drinking right now, man?
I'm drinking some water. That's all I
Yeah,
got right here. I mean,
nah,
that's
yeah.
it. That's
It's got
it.
some
No,
vodka in there because you're insane right
I
now.
wouldn't give 4 first-round picks. No, I would not entertain that. However, would I entertain a first-round pick, a potential player, or or something of that nature? I would because I think that again, MHJ would bring that new explosive level to the team that we would need. And it's hard though because I know you mentioned maybe getting that nice cornerback and wide receiver combo for 1 and 2. I think that will be cool as well. But at this point, man, I'm just ready for I'm ready. I'm ready for the Colts to make some kind of a splash. I'm ready for a splash move. And I don't want to hear that Anthony Richardson was a splash move or anything like that. The Colts needed a quarterback for we had been tired of being on the carousel. We had sucked so bad that we got the number 4 pick. So that wasn't a splash move. That pick was that was purely because of how poor our play was. So I would be more than glad to see the Colts really jump the gun and do something big that would help benefit the team in more ways than one. Because Ballard he was content with our young, core that we had on defense this year. He said they're getting better, only going to get better. So does he decide to just say, forget it? We need to get a cornerback in round 1. I don't know. I mean, he seems pretty confident in the defense he set up. He put us out there with. So, I would feel comfortable making a splash though, because we need that. We need that this time. Something that's just going to elevate this team and get rid of the mediocrity. Just elevate it up.
Yeah, what? So I'm okay with that. It's just what will it take to make a splash? It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, how? Yeah, I think it's gonna be a first round pick, potential or a conditional. It's gonna be something, and it's gonna be a lot. And I just because I don't think he makes it out of top 5, and
Hmm.
trading into the top 5 from the number 15 pick, I think that's gonna take a little bit. So we'll see. It's gonna be exciting, but I'm not gonna be disappointed if we don't get him.
No. Yeah.
I would just a bit. I'd probably be more excited if we did, but like, there's plenty of good players in this draft. Like, what if we did get Neighbors? I would be hype. Brock Bowers is
Hmm.
still on the table potentially.
Hmm.
We're talking about someone who can make our pass catching just even better from a tight end standpoint. We know what really good tight ends do for a team. And then how I love corners. I think, man, you get a really good wide receiver, really good corner in the first round, and it pans out. I think when you look at positional value and wins over replacement, I think those two positions are in the top 6 or 7.
For sure.
So it's going to have a great impact for this team.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'll be content with that as well, man. Because, like you said, there are plenty of receivers out there for us in this draft. Do we need to have MHJ? No. Do we want MHJ? Absolutely. But there are plenty of other receivers out there that can help elevate this team to a whole new level. So, whatever it is, I'm excited for the next couple of months as things continue to shake out. We can see, as people's heat comes on and we get closer to the combine, and we get to see workout and pro days and all this other stuff, man. It's going to be exciting time just to kind of see, and hopefully the Colts will keep us informed, I know Chris Ballard is a closed book, and it doesn't get any
Man,
better when Steichen's
yeah, man,
more
they
closed than
was
he is.
blowing smoke last year, man. We thought we
Yeah.
was about to pick up Will Levis, boy. That thing was happening. So, I un, until draft night, I
Yeah.
doubt we'll know. They're not
Yeah.
gonna make a trade up that early.
No.
Until draft night, I doubt they even do. But if they do, it better be for our boy,
It better
Marvin
be.
Harrison Jr. Let us know what y'all think in the comments. I know that was pretty long episode, but there's a lot to talk about here. It's not so simple and straightforward when you talk about trading up for this wide receiver. So let us know what y'all think. Let us know if we're completely wrong. Let us know what the right answer for this Colts franchise is coming in April. Hey, that's all I got, Jamal.
That's it for me too, dog.
And that's going to be it for us, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Colts Cast. We're live on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or any platform you use to listen to podcasts. And we'll be back next time to give you some more Indianapolis Colts content. Later.
Yeah.